you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
This is Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There are things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, the Chris Voss Show for 16 years and over 2,600 episodes. We bring in the Chris Voss Show, the most amazing minds and people that come on the show, share with their journeys of life, their experiences, and how to make your life better through some of the things that they've learned. And it's all free, but here's the key. We need you to further show your family, friends, and relatives. It's the one thing we ask. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, all those crazy places in it.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking to Kristine Genovese. She is the author of the book that came out October 24th, 2024, called Healing Through Soul Intelligence. We're going to get into some of the deets with her and her experience and some of the things that she's learned over life to make her life better, and how you can too. Kristine, for over 25 years, has specialized in corporate growth and turnaround, uncovering the hidden patterns, negative energy, and dysfunction blocking success. She streamlined people, processes, and technology to create optimal outcomes. And she's taken that same passion for transformation and channeled it into a revolutionary and inspired mission, empowering healthcare professionals and healers to reclaim their well-being, and revolutionaries how they heal through soul intelligence method that she developed. Welcome to the show, Kristine. How are you?
I am doing great today, Chris. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming. We're excited to have you and get into the details and all that good stuff. So give us any .coms, any social media. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
They can find me at my website, which is soul, S-O-U-L, intelligencemethod.com. They can certainly hit me up on any social media at Kristine Genovese or Kristine M. Genovese, depending on the Facebook or IG. I have YouTube. I also have TikTok. So pretty much using my name.
There you go. And so, Kristine, give us a 30,000 overview of what's inside your book, Healing Through Soul Intelligence.
Sure. Well, it talks a little bit about me. It talks a little bit about my method. And it talks about how, a number of different healing stories that are in there, how I heal the healers. I actually work in the field of functional medicine. Once we figure out what's going wrong in the body, we're able to help move that underlying emotional cause underneath the healing. So essentially, energy is supposed to be in motion. Okay, emotion. When energy is no longer in motion, that's when it pools in the body and it causes dis-ease or dissonance in your frequency or dysfunction in the body. And so my method helps pull that energy out. And then I partner with functional medicine doctors to help fix the body and give it what it needs to heal once we've gotten the dysfunction out. So the book has all kinds of information about the doctors I work with, their stories, their patients that I've worked with, and really talks about the method itself.
There you go. And I love the, I think you have this trademark, the soul intelligence.
Yes.
Is a trademark of yours, registered trademark. And so how did you develop this technology? What were some of the paths you went through in life that got you down these roads and got you writing books, helping other people, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So how did this all happen?
Yeah.
Well, as the bio suggested, I was a corporate turnaround specialist for most of my career, right? So figuring out what people, processes, or technologies need to shift in order for the business to hit their revenue objectives, whatever that was. And in March of 2020, I was on my last corporate turnaround. Which, I thought it was going to be my last for a way different reason. But March 12th of 2020, I got a phone call I was in an oncologist's office with my now husband, learning that he was going to have a biopsy done there and had prostate cancer.
Oh, no.
And I got a phone call from the head of HR letting me know that my services were no longer needed. So that was pretty shocking because I had just received a performance bonus. We were on year one of a planned 3-year turnaround. Things were going great. And I was in complete shock because I had never been fired in my entire career because I always met or exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you remember March 12th of 2020 as the start of COVID, right?
Oh, the start of COVID. Yeah. When everything went to hell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I texted my boss at the time, the CEO, and I said, I just got fired. He goes, me too. I'm like, WTF. Okay. So we pick up the phone, we talk. And essentially what happened was we had prepared a board deck because this was a Thursday. We're supposed to go in and have the board meeting on Monday. Board deck, my boss and I had showed that had we been allowed to hire the number of people we wanted to hire in the fourth quarter, not only would we have met the Q1 objective, we would have exceeded it.
Oh, wow.
What the CEO did was took us both out, walked into the boardroom by himself, and said we didn't hire enough people in the fourth quarter and went on a hiring spree.
Oh, wow. That's cheeky. So did he, is my perception right? He hijacked your gig and cut you guys out and took all the credit, basically?
Pretty much. But in essence, what he wound up doing, there was a board, there's always karma, right? So there was a board investigation. He was removed from office. He put a crony in, and they summarily ran the company into the ground, so it no longer exists today.
Wow.
I know, right? So what does this have to do with soul intelligence? So the divine gave me a big timeout, okay? And because this was a wrongful termination, I was given a very generous severance. So I had a 9-month runway to figure out what do I really want to do with my life, right?
There you go.
Yeah. And so
can I interrupt right there? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I don't want to cut off this great story that you have, but I want to kind of accent a point if I could. You mentioned that, you were finally doing something for yourself that, you're asking yourself the question, what do I want to do with my life? Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting when we come to that point? Sometimes it's, by our own making. I've been through that experience and you have too as well, where someone was forced upon us. But, having that epiphany of thought, and maybe that's a question more people need to ask themselves, what do I really want to do? Do I really want to do this? And a lot of people, they do shitty jobs for 20, 30 years, 5 years, maybe shitty relationships. And they don't ever ask themselves, is this really what I want to do? Am I passionate about this? I worked for myself for 13 years and hated all the companies that I owned and invested in. I didn't hate them, but I wasn't having any fun. I didn't like them. I did them for money and CEO and to be the boss. But people would come up to me and I would about break down. They would come up to me like, it's so great that you're an entrepreneur. You do something you love. I was choosing companies that I didn't love. They were just great investment vehicles. And they're like, and I would tell them, I don't love any of this. I hate it. I don't even like showing up for work every day. They're like, do you know how much money you make? And I'm like, that doesn't change it. I just can't do it. I'm drinking at night because I just hate this. And they're like, my God, you've got all this stuff and you hate your life. And there's a lot of people that are multimillionaires and very successful in life from whatever scale you want to place on success, but they're not happy. They're miserable because they're not doing, what would I like to do? So I think that's a real quandary you found yourself in and a great area for potential.
Absolutely. Actually, it was a friend who prompted me because, you go through the panic, right? All the things, right? Oh my God, what am I going to do? I got a husband with cancer. I'm the breadwinner. Where are we going to do about benefits? All that stuff. And then once you realize, okay, I'm all right. I got a little time to figure this out. I had a really good friend say to me, well, instead of just jumping back into what you've always done, why don't you consider, something you really want to do?
What you really want to do.
It was that passion or that prompting really that got me to figure, go inside, really spend time in meditation and prayer. And I remember I had this incredibly powerful meditation where I had tears streaming down my face. I knew that if I went back into corporate America, it would be like my soul would shrivel up and die, right? And so what I realize now, that was my soul intelligence screaming at me, that inner knowing, that inner voice. We talk about IQ, that's pretty important stuff, right? Factoring in all those things. We know about EQ, which is emotional wellness and support, and how you say what you say is equally important. But soul intelligence is really that inner knowing, that inner voice. And when I started to really think about what is it that I really want to do, I had to really listen to divine guidance at the time. And I'll tell you how the method came about. But one of the things that you said really struck a chord with me too. When I think about, I think Brandon Bouchard said it best. He talked about how many of us stay in our zone of excellence for a very long time. Right. Brandon Bouchard has a book called Average Sucks. I just love the name of the book. But in that, he talks about these different levels. And, you got a zone of incompetence, things we should never do, like Kristine try and fix a car. Then you got zone of, competence. It's okay, but I probably should delegate that crap out. And then you get to the zone of excellence. And the zone of excellence is where we tend to stay for most of our career. Right? People see us in that role. We identify with that role. We get paid really well for that role. And, I was a corporate badass. That was my role. I was really good at it. And then something happens that causes you to go, you know what? I'm unsatisfied. I need to step into my zone of genius. And that's really what soul intelligence is. So a number of years prior, I had learned a method where you use a book of charts and a pendulum. And it felt very rigid, kind of religious, and very restrictive. But I at least had the concept down. And so the idea was to be able to shift things that weren't working well. And I would actually use that book in my hotel room, as I'm in right now, because I travel a lot, Stephen still. And I would do behind the scenes. I would figure out what underlying energy was holding this team back. What underlying energy or theme was going on within the company so they weren't achieving their objectives that people couldn't see. I just wouldn't walk into a boardroom with a book of charts and a pendulum, right? So I kind of had this concept down. And then once I got quiet and I listened, the charts just kind of flew in. And that's how soul intelligence was born. How did I get it out into the world is probably a different story. Because, how do you go from being this, crazy corporate warrior, plane hopping adrenal junkie to going, hey, I'm coming out of the spiritual closet now, So I think it was, I had kind of one foot in the work world and one foot in the spiritual world, I guess. Kind of straddled the two for a little while. So I created a leadership program, about a 12-week program. I took all of my corporate wisdom and I put it into this program. And I pitched CEOs. And I said, hey, what if you give me 12 weeks, give me 1 quarter, and I can get your middle managers to become senior leaders, your senior leaders to be ready for the C-suite, and get all of them and their teams to be motivated from the inside out so that they'll run through the fire for you, being lit up by their mission, their vision, their values, and your purpose. Would you want that? And everybody said, yes, of course. I put together this 12-week program, and it was online, right? I did a group program because it was COVID times. I did a one-on-one in the beginning where we talked about where your energy naturally wants to go. It's called the Game Changing Index, a tool I still use today. It's out of the UK, and it helps people find out, whether they're game changers or not. So it's super cool. And then the midpoint, I would do a one-on-one with them, kind of talking about how the method's working for them, like all of the things I taught them in the course, in the leadership program, what's working with their teams and what's not. And then by the end, I would do one final one-on-one. And I would ask them, okay, we can talk about where your team is, where you want to go, how things are going, and what you want to set up going forward. Or we can talk about the root cause of why your team's in the shape it's in the first place, and why everything is falling apart for you in your personal life. But you got to take a risk walk with me, and we'll do a soul intelligence session. Every single person took me up on the soul intelligence session, so I knew I was onto something. And that's how I introduced it.
There you go. And who can benefit from the soul intelligence method? Who are your target market of people that you like to work with, or that qualify to work with you? I mean, imagine people need to have something going on to work with you, or so who's the target there?
It's interesting that you say that. I've worked in the field of functional medicine primarily because functional medicine and integrative medicine doctors are open to a lot of different ways of healing, right? They're open to like infrared light therapy. They're open to, emotional healing, vibrational healing, alternative therapies, nutrition, like all kinds of good stuff to help people heal naturally. So that's been the field that I've been operating in. And the way I got into that is I took a chance and I emailed my doctor, who happens to be a triple board certified MD. She actually wrote the foreword to my book, and she's also on Tony Robbins' medical team. She's Dr. Lisa Coates. She's a pretty amazing lady. And I said, hey, I know you know me as this crazy, plane hopping adrenal junkie, but I do have this other side to me. I know I can shift energy up and out of people's physical, mental, and emotional bodies to help them heal completely and holistically. I'll tell you what, I'll clear my whole afternoon and I'll come down and I'll sit in your office. And when you're ready, I'll do a session for you. And she's like, sure, why not? So I came down. And she was with a patient, but one of her colleagues, who's a chiropractor in her office, had 3 clients cancel at the last minute, 3 patients. And she's like, this never happens. I said, aha, divine intervention. So I sat down with her. I did a soul intelligence session with her. She had such a release. She was crying. She kicked her water all over the floor, emotions flying everywhere. And she said, I don't understand how you know all this stuff about me, like all these specific things. And I said, well, it's, the information's coming to me through these charts, and I'm just sharing with you what's coming through, and we're just shifting what's no longer needed. So as she's kind of releasing and crying, at that moment, my doctor knocked on the door. She put her head in and she goes, oh, wow, I was just checking to see how things are going. Game on, I'm next. And that's how it happened.
Oh, wow.
So then I did a session for her colleagues, her staff, her patients, and I started to work cooperatively in functional medicine.
Wow.
So this benefits everybody. I mean, that's the point, right? If you're not doing well, I mean, the thing is that the method is founded in science. It's bioenergetics, was documented in the 1950s by Dr. Alexander Lowen. And what he did is he basically said, to me, it's kind of common sense, but if you're physically not doing well, mentally and emotionally, you're not doing so hot. And it just basically means that the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body are all connected. We're all one being, which is why functional medicine that treats the whole person is such a great field for me to work in. And so if we can figure out what the underlying emotional root cause is, keeping that chronic illness in place, then we can help somebody heal completely. Because if we don't heal the underlying emotions that are stuck there, which caused the disease in the first place, then the person might heal temporarily. It may come back, or we'll heal one thing and then something else will go wrong.
Yeah. Now you've got several things going on. We were talking about pre-show. You've been on some billboards and got some Las Vegas production stuff. Tell us about some of the accolades you've been acquiring recently at getting media.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was just on the cover of Soulish magazine. And then they took me around Vegas in a rolling billboard, which is amazing. I know. I just saw that by the Sphere yesterday. That was pretty cool. I know, right? I had a Soul in the City book tour in October in New York City, and I'm originally from New York City, and hence the last name. I do come by the term spiritual gangster, honestly, with the last name of Genovese. That was great for Uncle Vito. Legit.
Oh, there you go. Legit.
Legit. Yeah. So I actually had a Times Square billboard as part of my Soul in the City book tour, and it was amazing. Like the old saying, if you make it there, you can make it anywhere. But that's pretty near and dear to a New Yorker's heart, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So that was pretty super cool. And I received a book award from Best Holistic Life magazine. They named my book Book of the Year for 2025. And I have a nod for 2026. And so they asked me to be on their cover for January. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then next year, I'm part of a movie called The Pillars of Power. Mm-hmm. And that movie is based on what does it take for you to feel for you to be successful in all the key pillars of your life, in essence. And the basis of the movie is a lot of the pioneers from The Secret. Do you remember The Secret, the book?
Yeah.
The movie? Yeah. A lot of those pioneers, like Dr. Joe Vitale and Marie Diamond, John Assaraf, and some of those folks who were pioneers in transformation are in the movie, along with today's transformational specialists like myself. So I'm really looking forward to that coming out. And those are some of the cool things that are going on. I'm getting noticed. I just had a huge article on BuzzFeed that came out this week that was a feature. Yeah, I was like, wow, awesome. People are digging it. And then, energy medicine or vibrational medicine is actually, like I said, it's founded in science. It's quantum physics. And it's we're recently healing people now using vibration to kill the outside membrane of cancer cells. So this is no longer Einstein's idea that the future of medicine will be frequency. This is actually legit, and we're living in a time where it's becoming more and more common for people to understand how all this works.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about some of the offerings on your website. How can people utilize you? Of course, how can they reach out to you to get to know you better, but also to see if they're a fit for the program, if you're willing to work with them, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, sure. If people go to soulintelligencemethod.com, I've got lots of different offerings on there. What I'm really most passionate about is I want to see soul intelligence method in wellness centers throughout the country. So I have a course that teaches people how to become a neuroenergetic healthcare professional. So you can actually learn to do this work for yourself and others. I do run, I know, right? So I certify people in the method so that they can do this. So if you're into holistic healing, if you have this desire to help people, and you just haven't found what can I do? This might be something for you to consider. A lot of the people that I work with have tried everything. And I kind of get people who are on the verge of losing hope, and then I'm able to help them shift. And then once we're able to get things out of their mental and emotional body, then they're able to actually heal what's been challenging them on the physical level.
What's they say that what's manifested in the mind, it gets mirrored in the body. And sometimes if we have poor thoughts, depressive thoughts, things of that nature, it tends to affect us, right?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the way I share with people is that your physical body is really the barometer to what's going on in your subconscious mind. And that's where all of those things get stored. All of those unresolved emotions, that old trauma, old patterns, self-limiting beliefs, all of that stuff is stuck there. And so people are like, okay, if it's there, how do I access it? And that's what the method allows me to do, is to figure out what's stuck there and what needs to shift so that somebody can heal completely.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, what a wonderful thing.
Well, I'm running weekend workshops starting in January again, which I'm excited about, for people who are just interested in learning it for themselves, where I can teach them in about 8 hours how to do something cool over a 2-day period. And to try and heal themselves. I don't know, Chris, maybe you want to do that.
I need my therapist, when he saw me show up, he said, hang on one second. He started owning himself a boat. But he bought a really big boat.
That's nice. And then I do have a monthly program if people want to experience the method firsthand. It's a group session that I offer online. And if you're interested in learning more, you can sign up on my website to be on my email list so that you can get all the information. But my book is actually available on Amazon and Kindle. And I went out to LA and I recorded the audio version. And I've had several people tell me that they've done the audio version and it feels like they're getting a healing. So because I'm reading it to them.
You got your voice and you're reading the data, and people really like it when people do their own audiobook voice.
I think so. I had a girlfriend tell me, I said, yeah, I didn't really care for Matthew McConaughey's book. And she's like, did you get the audiobook?
Or is reading it?
I went, no. And then I liked it magically.
I do that when I'm on Facebook and dating and I see someone I'm interested in. I always send them a voice message instead of, a text message.
Uh-huh.
And boy, that's a closer right there.
Is it?
Oh my God, your voice is so deep and amazing. I even have women say, I'm not really your type, Chris, but can we just keep talking as friends? Because I'm just enthralled by your voice. And I'm like, no, you have to go to my OnlyFans to pay for that service.
You got to do what works, right?
Yeah. And that very white voice. Hey, baby, what's going on? But no, people like it. They find it's more intimate. I've hated books that I thought were going to be read by the author. And, they're great orators or, most great Hollywood people. They're great orators and they know how to punch a line and makes things just sound so much better, unlike me. And so it looks like here on your site, I see some bundles that people, I'm going to tease these out so that we can tap into some people if they're into, this is their lane. Energetic messages bundled. You've got a bundle of 3 energetic massage sessions, executive coaching, energetic intake, energetic massage sessions. So people can book all sorts of different times off the website. They can learn more. They can read some of your data. Of course, they can read the book. That's a great gateway drug to most everyone's services as a consultant. Is you got that book, you're like, all right, well, buy the book, and then you're going to be hooked on me.
Well, I should probably explain what, energy, someone told me to use the term energetic massage, but in essence, what it is, right? You go to a chiropractor for a biomechanical adjustment. You come to me for bioenergetic adjustment. So we're kind of massaging all of those things out of the body, out of the subconscious mind, so they can be transmuted. Because once energy is created, it can't be destroyed, right? It's got to go somewhere. That's a scientific fact. And everybody and everything is energy. And I think we forget that we're protons, neutrons, electrons in this vibrating, electromagnetic field because we're physical, we're corporal. But essentially, the only way that we're able to see each other right now is through the internet, which is frequency and information that's coming through and being received, whether it's being received through somebody's phone, the computer, or even our brains, right? So we always are taking information in. We attract energy and frequency into our body as well as send it out. And so a lot of times people aren't understanding why they don't feel right. And it's because of the people that are around them. They're picking up on their energy and their stuff. So sometimes when I'm shifting things for an individual, things change dynamically in a great way for them in their relationships, in their families, in their businesses. So it's a pretty big impact no matter where we do the work.
There you go. So tease people out, the final pitch out to people, where they can book with you, how they can find out more, all that good stuff.
The best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website at soul, SOUL, intelligencemethod.com. If you're interested in just kind of following me on social and all my crazy media travels and fun things like that, you can certainly find me using my name, Kristine Genovese with a K, or Kristine M. Genovese on Insta. I'm around. I'm easy to find, and I would love the opportunity to help more people learn this method in the world. That's really the mission I'm called to do.
There you go. And you found your purpose by asking, what is my purpose in life? What would I really like to do if I had the time, money, and effort and stuff? And I think more people need to ask that of themselves. And certainly finding energy in doing something you love as opposed to something you see as a chore. For an example, on my podcast, I love to do. I love interviewing people. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. And I learn so much. I may learn more than my audience because I get a front row seat. And I love it. And so you don't have to twist my arm to show up every day. I mean, there might be a day where I'm sick or something, or I haven't slept well. But even then, I get up and do my thing. And once I get on, I mount up into the seat. It's, you find people and they're interesting. And of course you have to find people interesting too, but, they've got their stories and I'm going to learn something. And so, I'm usually, even if I'm tired, I'm usually like, I'm okay, well, we're in the seat. Let's learn something today. And I meet the people, and they're wonderful, and they've got great knowledge that they've spent, like yourself, 20, 25 years developing. So they get to come on my show for 30 minutes. We learn all this great stuff, me and the audience. And so yeah, when you love something and you're willing to show up and you'd work whether you got paid or not for it, that's probably something you should do your purpose for, as long as someone else is willing to pay you for it. Because if you're just going to live in a van down by the river, I don't think anyone's going to pay to watch that. So, I don't know. It might be an OnlyFans channel opportunity there. I don't know. So if so, somebody let me know, because I'm just going to buy a van down by the river and just sit down there and put a camera on me, and I'll just wave at the camera every now and then. So that pays the bills, so fine with me, I guess. I don't know. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It's been fun and insightful to have you on. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Chris. Thank you, Kristine. And thanks, Ernest, for tuning in. Order up her book wherever fine books are sold, Healing Through Soul Intelligence, out October 24th, 2024. You can find it wherever fine books are sold. Link on the Chris Voss Show. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, there we go. Great.